Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is One Piece Volume 44. Let's go back. Part of this One Piece 3-in-1, Volume 43, 44, and 45. And we are getting pretty much the end of the fighting here for this arc. So, some clarification. For some people, they refer to these two arcs as the Water 7 arc and then the Enies Lobby arc. I just call it Water 7 because technically they don't leave Water 7 till after they're done with Enies Lobby, which is pretty much closed up in this volume right here. But anyhow, let's get into this. We all know this manga here. It gets pretty it gets pretty drawn out. And I kind of like it how they did this here, where they blacked out all of the members of CP9 that got their asses kicked. Getting back to the action, they were able to rescue Nico Robin, and using all of the keys that they, I guess, liberated from the last volume, Frankie's able to get Robin free right here, and they proceed to fight their way out of being surrounded by a Buster Call, which is essentially a massive military sort of engagement by the world government. They sent a bunch of fleets over to basically destroy an island indiscriminately. So what's kind of cool about this whole volume here is just sort of the slog and just the struggle between all of the world government members here, the Navy, the Admirals, Cypher Pole 9, etc., and the Straw Hats and the allies of the Straw Hats, which includes the Galley Law and Frankie's family, and etc. Right? But what's really cool about this whole arc, and what really the reason why this is kind of well regarded among One Piece, is the payoff, right? And I think that's one of the things about manga that I think in general people like, especially shonen manga. There's a very good payoff, right? What do I mean by payoff? A payoff essentially is sort of the treat or the reward to the reader. You develop, good characters. You develop good conflict, good drama, right? But at the end of the day, at least for most readers, the payoff is the good guys winning, right? And really the resolution of a great character arc or a great conflict, right? In the case of this whole arc here, Water 7 through CP9, it started with the Merry Go, basically being very damaged, and they go to Water 7 specifically to go get the Merry Go fixed, right? And in the middle of it, they end up having to abandon the ship, and this causes a lot of conflict among the Straw Hats. And by the end of this thing right here, as you will see, the Merry Go returns. Let me get right here. Let's see, where are you? So the Merry Go returns for one last hurrah. At the same time, they end up having to say one last goodbye as well. But really, this volume is pretty much marked by the fight between Rob Lucci and Luffy. And it takes up, there was already beginnings of it in the first volume here, but really this volume right here is all about this fight. And it's your typical manga fair fight. It takes a long time to get through, and it's a lot of just action panels and whatnot. And then here you have the whole, this is sort of the Oda mainstay. He just is a master of just creating characters. Obviously his art style is very simplistic, but he is very innovative in that the world of One Piece has thousands and thousands of characters that he's all created, and he does it almost like naturally throughout that's probably the one complaint I have of One Piece, if I recommend it to other people, is there's so many characters in this series that it can be almost overwhelming. Like you could literally just read One Piece and it would be multiple universes in and of itself with how many characters are in this world that we have here. And then I've always loved this, by the way. This is an Oda thing. He's always done this where when you open up a chapter, whether it's the Shonen Jump or within collected within these volumes, he always creates an illustration in the opening page, just sort of announcing it. And the illustration actually rarely has anything to do with what the chapter is all about. It's actually usually either just a fun illustration that he does to just sort of have fun, sort of express himself artistically. Lately, in a lot of the later ones, he's more of doing requests, right? Like once Oda started getting a lot of fans, people would request like different illustrations for the getting of it. The other thing he liked to do in these illustrations is create sort of like one-shot story panels of other stories going on in the universe of One Piece, but he just illustrates just one page of it or one panel of it to kind of show what's going on with other characters. Very fascinating, and also a great exercise in storytelling, right, through art, right? That's kind of the one thing that I've always kind of admired about Oda, is that he isn't just a one-trick pony with the typical shonen manga trope. He really does practice other forms of art and really does practice the medium as it really should be practiced, right? In addition to just, in general, just good professionalism from him that I've always kind of admired. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling on. Another thing that gets kind of revealed in this, Luffy and Rob Lucci are fighting in one of the towers. Rob Lucci ends up tearing apart one of the walls in the room that they're fighting in, and that causes the seawater to flow in and flood one of the underground tunnels, which a lot of the Straw Hats are kind of running around in, right? And they end up getting rescued by Kokoro, the old lady right here, who is revealed. Let me jump over here. Yeah, mermaid legend. When I do these manga, I tend to like jump around a lot, just because there's so much that happens, and if I just go through it page by page, what I've kind of found is it's not as fun. It starts to be just me repeating what goes on, sequentially, when honestly, for the price, and the fact that you can get this stuff online, for free, like, I mean, okay, whatever. They could just literally read the manga and come to that conclusion. But a really funny part in all of this is they get saved by Kokoro, who's revealed to be a mermaid, but she's like an old lady mermaid. So a lot of the Straw Hats like lose it, especially Sanji, who's like Sanji's being a ladies' man is always like thinking of mermaids as being like extremely beautiful, right? Sort of like the fairy tale mermaid, like Little Mermaid, right? And here Oda kind of puts it on his head by having an old bag as a mermaid. Oda's known for doing this, kind of turning things on their head, but really having fun with it. There's never really sort of a meanness to his art or his storytelling. A lot of it is always in good fun, even when he's kind of doing things that would typically be like a mature topic. He approaches it from a sort of cheerful point of view, and always to kind of have fun and have a good laugh. Right? When you read and get into One Piece, there's a lot of drama, a lot of sadness, a lot of emotion, but there's also a lot of fun and just in general comedy. I think at one thing I've always kind of like felt about One Piece is I think it really is successful because it will go through the full gamut of human emotions when you're reading this. It's a very simple series. It's not something that's philosophically too deep. Sometimes it will kind of show flashes of that. But really its strength is in its sort of celebration of human emotion and the human soul in a way, right? Anyhow, we get to it. So here, Luffy kind of shows off his Gear 3 right here. So I felt this is worth going over. So in Gear 3, he blows up he makes his bones basically into rubber, which allows him to dramatically expand his body size by blowing in air, right? Again, Luffy is a rubber man from his devil fruit power. So this is kind of like a logical growth of it. And kind of interesting right here. I've always wondered if Reed Richards ever did this in the comics before that. And Odo's just taking from Reed Richards or Plastic Man from DC Comics, right? But yeah, pretty fun imagination here. You see the giant pistol where he blows off the side here. The double page spreads in this volume, by the way, are like on point. Like Oda had probably some of the best double page spreads in this arc right here. Speaking of which, this is another one. Sometimes he'll do these special painted. By the way, a real shame here is that these are printed in the original Shonen Jumps as color pages. But you know, because this is a collected edition, they only show it, and also an American collected edition, aka cheap. They don't reprint it in color, which is unfortunate because they're typically colored with Copics, right? So it's usually really, really pretty to see these in full color. But yeah, anyhow, they end up basically getting cornered by the Navy, and they end up, Luffy ends up doing, let's see, I want to go to that last scene right here where he fights him. Yeah, he gets, like, Luffy gets fucked up in this final fight with Rob Lucci. And honestly, it's almost like Rambo. You're kind of, or not Rambo, I should say. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of Sylvester Stallone. Rocky. You know, where like I remember the first time I watched Rocky, and I was like, why the hell can this guy take this many blows? This doesn't even make any sense, right? And a lot of times in manga, it's almost the same deal. They drag fights on, and like most fights almost end up being like a Rocky fight, where it's like the good guy just gets battered to hell to the point where just like nobody can take these many blows and still be alive. This is dumb, right? But you know, it's manga. That's just kind of the way they are, right? It really adds to the drama, which is kind of what's what you're really reading this for, right? But anyhow, he ends up basically digging deep right here and drawing the last bits of guts that he has left in him to overcome Rob Lucci here. In fact, Rob actually nails him with one last time with the Six King pistol, which is his most powerful attack. Actually, even grabs him with his tail to nail him, right? And Luffy just freaking guts it out and gets up and nails him with the Gum Gum Gatling, right? His more famous attack. One thing that I do have a criticism of this whole fight right here is they wail on each other over and over, and then it's just this one last attack that, which by the way, isn't really special. This is like his technique that he normally does to beat people. And I mean, Oda kind of sells it with the double page spread right here, but it's still one of those things where like, okay, so this one got him, but not the other ones before, right? Okay. All right. I think the anime actually does a better job in this instance of selling it, right? Compared to the manga. But yeah, he ends up taking it back and, you know, screaming, you know, to Robin that they're going back together. Which they end up doing with the Merry-Go suddenly arriving on its own anyway. And this is sort of a callback to a previous volume, right? When Frankie and Usopp were going over the Merry-Go and sort of the spirit of the ship, right? So the spirit of the ship brought the ship back to save the Straw Hats one last time. And through sort of a series of coincidences and a little bit Deus Ex Machina by Oda, they're able to escape in the Merry-Go and get out of there. And unfortunately, when they finally make it out of the whole Enies Lobby area and they run into Iceberg and the rest of the Galley Law Company, turns out that the Merry-Go really did give it its last all. And a la Blues Brothers fashion, it basically is falling apart right here. So the last chapter of this volume is basically dedicated to sort of flashbacks of the Merry-Go. And you got to realize that at this point, it's like 400 and something chapters, right? Or, you know, you could call these issues, right, of One Piece. So they had spent quite a bit of time on this ship. And as was mentioned in previous volumes, it was a big deal among the Straw Hats to leave this ship and actually caused a breakup, obviously, between Usopp and Luffy. But here, Oda gives the ship its proper farewell. Everyone has sort of a flashback of this ship as they, decide to give it a Viking funeral rather than let it sink into the ocean. And here are some snows falling. You got your typical One Piece emotion, like typical Oda making everybody cry, snots coming out of the mouth. I don't know why, but he really loves this, just snot coming out of people's mouths. Pretty much your typical crying, right? And there we go, the final farewell to the Merry-Go, and the end, really, of the Enies Lobby sort of fight. There's one more volume here, but this last volume is really sort of tying up some loose ends on the Water 7 arc. So I'll kind of go over that very quickly to end out the year. But I did want to finish this entire series this year just because it's kind of a big undertaking to do a One Piece arc, just because I know how long these things are. And I knew that this was going to be a 12 video kind of affair, very similar to Secret Wars was last year, right? So with Secret Wars, I felt like it was a little bit easier to do because I didn't feel like I had to speed through things. I think a lot of the videos in this series I kind of had to speed through because if I just went at the same pace that I go over with the American comics, it would feel, at least in my opinion, because I did a couple of videos like that, it would feel kind of boring. And it's really more about what really mattered in this volume and really the impact points of why the volume is significant, right? I mean, after all, you gotta spend like $10 for one of these volumes, or you could do this and get it for cheaper. Or if you don't care, about reading stuff on your computer, there are plenty of websites where you can read One Piece for free. I mean, good luck. It's like 1,000 chapters right now. Anyhow, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments about One Piece Volume 44, leave it down below. And I will see you next time.